This is Joe Yuhan with a video introduction for your running analysis report. Happy to be able to help and really excited to get you running faster and with less aches and pains. And so you've got a really athletic stride. You're really strong in your trunk. You've got great running posture. You use your hips really well. There's a couple things though that I think are playing a role in some of your aches and pains, and that fixing those things are really going to help not only less aches and pains, but also with your speed and your endurance. And so there's really only two things. The biggest one, both of them have to do with landing efficiency. And the biggest one has to do with what happens in this plane. And so in the efficient state when we run, what should happen is we'd want to draw a line, basically like my zipper, straight down through my body, and when the leg comes through, you want to land on that line. I'm going to back up a little bit even. On that line so that your foot is basically perfectly in midline for you to pass through. And so the feet basically land like this. If there's a stability deficit somewhere in the system, if the brain doesn't trust the foot or the knee or the hip to stay strong, there will be a couple compensations that can happen. Number one, the knee will buckle in like that. And so this is a really bad thing. It's not very stable. It's also really bad for your knee, but it can be stressful for your hip. Another strategy or a compensation for that is something called a lateral or a crossover landing pattern. And so rather than landing here or landing here and doing this, that leg will come across. And it's a way to sort of cheat its way to stability. And so you can see what the body really wants is this straight but angled line. Well, it gets a straight line, but at the expense of angling across like that. And so you can imagine how stressful that can be to land crossing midline. So the whole outside of the leg can get beat up. You can see, especially in your videos, you can see you're landing on the outside of your foot. And so that's going to be a source of foot pain and even some of your Achilles pain. But then it also really stresses out the low back because you no longer have this hip to cushion you. You're landing and really kind of stressing things out. And so that's the biggest thing that we see, and I see it more significantly on your right. Your left does it a little bit, crossing midline a little bit, but the right does it quite a bit more. On top of that, they're both kind of doing a little bit of knee in as well. And so again, the implication is to land that way is stressful, but then it also impacts your ability to push off. And so in this plane, if I'm landing in an inefficient position, my ability to then both push and lift in a efficient and powerful way is limited. And so that's the number one thing that we want to go after. The second thing is sort of related to that, but it's a general inefficiency I see in a lot of people, and that is overstriding. And so overstriding occurs anytime that any part of the foot lands significantly in front of the body. And so the good news for you is you've got good posture, you've got good hip hinge, but despite that, you're still reaching a little bit too far. And so you're pretty good on the left leg, but this right leg tends to reach. And so that too becomes a stress, because if that foot's here and you're back here, there's this braking force that has to be absorbed by your body. And really what we want to have happen is a more compact up and down style, where you're pushing off, lifting straight up, and getting that leg down. And so that's sort of our segue into what we want to do. And so the biggest thing that we're going to do is you're going to actually try to run with a knee out, or this bow-legged style of running. And it's going to feel really weird, but the best runners in the world, including the best trail runners, get both their speed but also their stability from landing with a knee out position. And so if you were running in the city or on a track, you could run on a sidewalk crack. You just want to run on the line with your knee outside of it. It shouldn't feel like you're doing this, but just going here and landing, so that really one of the metrics is to be able to have some daylight in between your knees. That's the biggest thing. It's going to feel really weird, but it's going to be a really powerful improvement for your stride. The second thing is more general, that everyone can do, but that's going to really help you, and that is to just have a more compact up and down stride or leg action, but especially you do a really good job of pushing off, but can you lift and get that leg down? And whether that's sort of this idea of pushing, or we're going to try some things to kind of work on pulling that leg underneath. But either way, if we can make your stride more compact, you're going to waste less energy, absorb less aches and pains, but then you're going to get more propulsive energy. So check out that stuff. I hope this made sense. But check out your report. We have some mobility and strength exercises for you to work on those things, and some running drills and some running cues. So check that out. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.